to the live show. I'm so happy you're able to join us today. If you're watching us on the replay, thanks for joining us on the replay. For a countdown timer, I decided instead of doing a traditional countdown that I usually do with my live shows, I'm instead going to show some honorable mentions during the countdown. These are ones that just didn't make the list, but were definitely worth mentioning. And so I'm going to do side-by-side comparisons of what I have of those ones. And I just thought it'd be kind of fun, kind of cool to use as a countdown till we get to the actual show. And we will see you in about 2 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
And welcome to our special live stream this evening. Happy that you're able to join us. Who needs the Super Bowl, right? Who needs the Super Bowl? Not me. I like physical media better, and that's what we're going to discuss today. And my guest tonight is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him. We love him. Steven at OTS Movie Nights.
What's up, everybody? It's good to be back. It's been a hot minute since we've streamed together, so yeah, it's about time.
I think the last time we did it was last year when we did the top 10. So it's been about a year since we've been streamed together.
We had a couple of times we tried and just different things came up that kind of got in our way, but both of our schedules are a little bit wild. So
yeah, to say the least. All right. I thought first we'd start off with just some. Now, first of all, I wanted to point out that typically, top 10 best of 4K UHD titles is usually that I've seen other YouTubers do it is newer releases. Like Mission Impossibles, Oppenheimers, newer releases. Instead, this time, as we did last year, we're going to focus a little bit more on movies that have been shot photochemically and 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter that have been restored back to its original.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Oh, you don't know that?
No, I didn't know that. I just picked the ones that I think are the best releases of last year. A lot of them are that, but not all of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to do the whole show that way. If you like last time we did just strictly those movies that were restored. This time we can have a mix. I mean, it's fine. Most of mine are restored back to its original
I think that the majority of my top favorites are, but I feel like and I don't know if you want to go over sort of what our process for choosing is,
Yeah.
but I just feel like there are some studios that I think are trying a little bit harder for us than before, and that helped push things into my list a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I totally agree. First, I want to start out with this. So this year, I looked it up. I calculated how many physical media titles were released, Blu-ray 4K. In 2023, we had 927 physical media titles between Blu-ray and 4K.
I'm seeing in the chat that you are low.
Oh, let me see here.
Yeah, I'm seeing that they're saying that you sound fine to me, but they're saying that you're low.
How's that, guys? Do I sound okay now? Let me know. Yeah, let me know, Steven. If
you sound fine to me, but I see at least two or three people saying that you were low, so I thought I'd bring it up.
Okay, thanks. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I turned it up a little bit more. All right, I turned it up a little bit more. Hopefully it's okay. So out of those 927 physical titles, we had 437 4K titles, compared to last year where there was only 740 physical media releases between Blu-ray and 4K and only 214 4K titles. So that harks back to what you were just saying, that a lot of studios are trying more. They're trying harder. They're seeing the value back in physical media, and they're doing more to release more physical medias, 4K releases especially. And I just wanted to point out real quick some of the newer movies that have been outstanding.
They say you're still the same, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but they're still saying your sound is still the same.
I'm not sure what the issue is. Hang on here. Does this sound better, guys? Let me know in the comments. Turn up adjusting the volume there. Yeah, guys, let me know how my volume is now. Disconnect. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Disconnect. I see you in there too.
927 titles just in the U.S. I just looked up how many titles. So I think some are kind of mixed. Some are, the majority are in the U.S. Yeah. Okay, great. So I'm sounding good now. Low Bearing Beams, thanks so much for joining us. And the Grim Reaper, thanks for joining us. Moose, thanks for joining us. So I'm just going to point out a couple newer movies that came out in 4K UHD this week that I think are just stellar and shows that major studios are really starting to put more effort into their physical releases. And a couple of them is Oppenheimer, which is definitely one of them. This is just an outstanding 4K UHD presentation, and it looks great and sounds great on Blu-ray as well.
I actually don't have that one yet. I need to get it.
Oh, you need to get it. It's fantastic. A lot of people were disappointed it didn't come with an Atmos track, but it's just 5.1, but it sounds phenomenal. I mean, another one too is one of my favorite movies from last year, Babylon, 4K UHD.
I love Babylon. Babylon would have been a perfect movie if it had been about 30 minutes shorter. I think that was a big problem people had, but I just love it.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. I mean, this is definitely a love letter to old cinema, to filmmaking, and terrific 4K. Another is the remake of All Quiet on the Western Front. This is just a phenomenal 4K UHD release, especially with the Atmos track is incredible.
So I just double checked my list. And of my top 10, 9 of them were photochemical films shot on film to begin with. So it's inherent that when you start talking about the best looking 4Ks,
yeah,
they are movies that were shot on film. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, all these movies, a majority of movies today are shot digitally, as everyone knows. 8K, 16K, and then they're transferred to 4K, and so of course they're going to look great with modern day movies. So that's kind of why I lean more towards ones that have been restored from older negatives. Another great one is Gran Turismo. Awesome. And my last one is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Another great UHD release. Hold on here. Simon's modding, and he's telling me that my volume is still low.
Babylon 4K is remarkable. I can't wait to see it. I love Babylon.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have that one. Oh,
I don't. It like when I start looking at what to buy, there's so many things, and I really want that one. And I look at the price of that one when it came out. I'm like, for that amount, I could get something from Second Sight or something from Arrow that's gonna be a better quality release. So I just thought I've just been waiting for the price to come down, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is this year, like I said at the top of the video, there's so many more titles that have been coming out. And I've been kind of the same way. I'm like, well, I could spend $30 on this, or I could wait for something that I really want from Second Sight or another boutique label that I know will be coming out. Like you on your live stream on TikTok, you mentioned Near Dark.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at buying the Blu-ray, and I'm like, no, I know this is coming out in 4K. And
That's two movies this year that I'm not touching in any other format because I know Near Dark and The Hitcher are coming to us this year, and those are highly anticipated by me.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Because I know Near Dark was announced early last year, and it for one reason or another it didn't come through. Lowberry Beam says, I get overwhelmed and I don't know what to buy first.
So here's my recommendations for that, because I get that all the time on my TikTok channel. People asking me, there's so many things, whatever. So the first thing is buy what you like. If you don't like the movie, don't buy it. You know, if it's a blind buy, then I kind of get it. If you're curious and it's a blind buy, well, that's a different thing. But buy the things you like first. And then for me as a collector, if I really want that perfect, beautiful, limited edition, basically our movie version of the leather-bound book, if I want that, then I go to that first because those are limited. You know, if it's something from Second Sight and they're doing 10,000 copies or whatever, it sounds like a lot of copies, but they sell out so fast. You know, I tend to focus on those and then come back to something like Babylon that's a catalog title and will be around forever.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I've also tell people that I've come to the point now. I mean, you only have so much room in your house to store movies. You only have so much time in your life to watch movies. So I've been telling people what I've started doing is I'm only buying movies I know that I'm going to watch more than once. That's not just going to sit on the shelf and collect dust. Or, you know, that's my goal. And also, unless if it's like a classic film, that's different. Or like a like we were saying, a special box set release, that's different. But that's kind of my go-to is look at a movie. How many times am I actually going to watch this? Is it often enough to justify paying $30 for?
Exactly. And this is interesting. It's and we could do a whole other stream on this. But when I came to YouTube in 2019, I came on as a highly curated collector, as someone who didn't just buy everything that came out. One, because I can't afford it because I'm a filmmaker. I'm putting my money into my own movies. But two, because I don't have the space or I don't have the will to have things in my house that I don't use. And that's not just with movies. That's with everything, But when I came into the community, my mutuals here, most of them were buying everything. Every Tuesday they would buy everything new release, and we're just getting. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. If I don't really like the movie, I don't understand why I'm not owning it. And I started preaching on my channel, and I do on my TikTok too, about curating, about what you said, about buying things you're going to watch over and over again. For me, it's also about things I want to share with people. And it's so funny because I feel like I was just ahead of the curve, maybe. Because now, as of this year and late last year, I've started seeing a lot of these people that were buying everything coming on and talk about culling their collection and only getting the things they want. And I'm like, finally, join me. But so, what's for me is I want my collection to be a reflection of me as an art lover. Like if you hate Picasso, you wouldn't have a print of a Picasso piece of art on your wall. So if I don't like the movie, I'm not going to have it.
That depends. Does the Picasso come with an exclusive 1,000 print only slipcover?
For me,
then you would have to buy it, right?
Nope. If I don't like the movie, they can they can wrap it in a gold case, and I'm still not going to care because there's just no purpose to having it. The FOMO is very difficult for us as collectors. If it comes out in a beautiful, beautiful box, it's like, ooh, it's so tempting. But
Yeah.
like you said, if I'm not going to be watching it on a regular basis or sharing it with somebody, then I try not to get suckered by that.
Yeah, yeah, and I've said this before on my social. I'm not the type of person where I'm going to be stockpiling a bunch of movies, put them in totes, and store them away in a closet, and never to be seen again. I just don't do that because what's the point? To me, it's just there's no point to it. The point is to watch your favorite films. At least for me, that's what the point is. And
me too. Me too.
And I've also said, hard work is cool, but if I don't like the movie, I'm not buying movies specifically for the artwork. I'm buying the movies for the film.
Exactly.
In
the chat, it says, I don't blind buy movies. 2 movies I guess he meant blind bought were G.I. Joe Snake Eyes was a blind buy, and it was terrible. And Assassin's Creed, those are terrible movies. I do blind buy, but I'm tactical about blind buying. So one of the companies that I love the most, it's also the most scary, is Vinegar Syndrome, because they put out beautiful packages, but most of the movies are terrible. But they'll have a sale 2 or 3 times a year where they'll have $10 movies, and I'll blind buy a bunch of them at that point and see if they're good. And the ones that are good, I keep, and the ones that are not so good, I trade. Because there's a great trading community of Vinegar Syndrome fans out there, and I just kind of swap things out.
Well, let me tell you. Hold on a second. Let me tell you too but especially something like Vinegar Syndrome Second Sight. If you blind buy and you don't like the movie, you're not going to watch it. You can flip those really easily.
For sure, and I will sell them, but I prefer, just because I like to build on our community, I prefer to trade if I can.
Yeah.
But if no one wants to trade for the movie because everybody understands it sucks, then I will drop it on eBay or something and then just flip it. Or put it in a Facebook marketplace or something and flip it that way. But yeah, that's when I blind buy, is when there's a really good sale.
Yeah, let me run through the comments real quick before we get into our list
Sure.
here. Tibbet Kid says, buy the Columbia Classic set when it drops in price, as those are always good transfers and can sell when they are out of print for good money. Those box sets are phenomenal.
And that's dangerous to wait for them to go on sale, because I know at least the first one went out of print.
Oh, immediately. First and second one went out of print immediately. The third one is still there. You can find it for under $100 now, I think. But yeah,
so I will hint at that, because that came up, is I feel like a lot of the way we're going to see studios deal with the sort of the contraction of the physical media fan base is to put fewer single movies out and more box sets. And that's kind of tough, because I look at those Columbia sets and I didn't get the first couple because I only liked a couple of movies in the box set. And those movies have yet to come out individually, and that sucks. But we're going to see that more and more.
Well, the only one it's like they cherry pick which ones to come out. Like they did Lawrence of Arabia, which I think was in the first volume, and now they're doing Taxi Driver this year. So
thank goodness.
They're kind of cherry picking which ones to, and how they decide which ones to release, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I'll buy those box sets because they're just so good, and they're just chock full of swag and books and all that good stuff.
I bought a few, and you might see 1 or 2 in this thing we're about to do, but I don't buy them too often, just because it's investing in movies that I don't really like, and that part bothers me. But this is how it's going to be. I mean, even Arrow Video's putting out like the Shaw Scope collections. Yeah. I like about a third of the movies that are in each of those sets, and I'm like, oh god, it's so much money in a giant box, and I only like a third of the movies.
Yeah, and Arrow put out the I forgot what they call it, but that box set of like 4 full moon movies, like Arcade and Cellar Dweller and stuff. And I've heard Warner Brothers and some other studios are starting to go in that direction, like you said. So I think that's going to be kind of the future of things.
Well, and they can take a couple of movies that they know are super popular that would sell on their own, and slip in some other movies that probably wouldn't sell as many, and put those out that way and make money off of them. And that kind of and I think that's how they're going to do it. The one that kills me the most is that Sony box set. is there's some
yeah.
movies like Run Lola Run and a few others that are in that set that I would love, but there's other movies, there's literally some movies that I hate in that set, and I'm like, it's just too expensive.
That's a $300 set too, because I'm the same
Yeah.
way. I'm like, okay, I want these movies, but I don't know if I want to spend $300 for, 10 movies I'm not going to watch. Christopher Scott says, "Hey, glad I caught this. I've blind bought some movies and it's paid off like The Martian." Yeah.
Oh, The Martian's so good. I love The Martian.
Yeah. 100%.
So I did want to say that we're doing 4Ks.
Yeah.
But this past year, there were also some stunningly amazing Blu-ray releases.
Oh, I agree.
The box set for me, I'll just show it because it's not really in our situation, but I think the box set of the year is a box of like bad but good movies. I love a good collection of bad but good, and you can't hardly beat this set right here. This is from Arrow Video. This is, I hope, the beginning of a series that they're going to do of bottom shelf video store movies. And this one is fun. It's got Robot Jocks is probably my favorite. This is all from one studio, and it looks like it's cool because it looks like a video store. But on the inside, they did a really great job of putting out these really bottom shelf sci-fi. And I think they're in sci-fi and fantasy and a little bit of horror in here. And I hope they do this by the studio, because there were some really great studios in the 80s and 90s that did just direct-to-video movies that were bad but good fun. Yeah, and I had to throw that out there because this set is beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And I think all those are Charles Band movies, too.
They were his previous company to Full Moon.
Yeah.
And the great thing is Full Moon understood the mistakes that Empire made, which Empire tried to compete with the big guys, and they had $1 million budgets and stuff like that, and it put the company under. So when he came back with Full Moon, he went real cheap, and it makes me a little bit sad, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I before we start, I have 2 honorable mentions here, and
so are you doing a top 13, or are we doing honorable mentions and then 10?
We're going to do. Okay, that's the thing here, because there's so many that came out that are just great releases, just beautiful transfers. It was so hard. I spent almost 3 days trying to compile my list and always changing things around. And so I messaged Steven this morning. I'm like, okay, screw it. I'm going to do 13, not 10, because there's 3 more that I need to do. But I'm also I have to just point out these 2 honorable mentions that did not make the list. And one is George Romero's Martin. This is a phenomenal 4K release and Blu-ray release as well.
I'm so sad I missed that box set. I'm so jealous of that right now.
Oh, it's one of the best, one of my favorite box sets that Second Sight's put out. And if you don't know the history of this movie, this is why it's on my honorable mention, is because they lost what is it? They lost it was thought to be have lost the footage, the negative. And they spent years trying to find the negative, and they finally found it. And they spent 3 or 2 years fully restoring the film. And so that's my first honorable mention. Another one is Delamarte Delamar, or Cemetery Man from Synapse. This is a beautiful, beautiful transfer as well. Did you have any honorable mentions?
Well, I just did 13. So, technically, to me, my 11, 12, and 13 are my honorable mentions. Okay. Yeah, I know we were doing 15, sir.
It was so. I'm cheating. I squeeze it in. I mean,
you're weak. You're weak.
That's why I say I hate doing top 10 best of lists, because it's so hard to choose. It's just so hard to choose. I mean, we had those James Dean movies that came out that are beautiful. The Fugitive. I mean, the ones I showed at the top of this video while I was doing the countdown were a lot of ones I had on my list and I took off. But enough chit-chatting. Let's get to it. We'll go back and forth.
Okay.
You want to start yours first?
So at number 13?
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, I do want to say, let me get my 13. I want to say that my criteria for picking my 13, number 1, this is by no means what I would say the definitive best UHDs of last year. This is the best of the UHDs I bought. This is the best. There's a lot of other stuff that I'm sure is really good and probably even better than what I picked, but this is the top 13 of what I bought from someone with over 3,000 movies in his collection. And I bought, I don't know, I don't want to think about how many I bought last year. It was a big year for me. So I looked at image quality, audio quality first. Is it a good presentation? But then I also looked at, did you really dig in and give me supplements? Did you give me something extra meat on the bone? And then after that, what's the packaging like? So the first one that I'm going to show is one of two that are in the three that are honorable mentions that are actually not movies shot on film. And I'm just going to talk about this one because it's they did a great job with the supplements, and for an upscale, they did the best they could for an upscale, because this is definitely an upscale, because this movie was mastered in 1080p as far as I know, and it's The Mist.
Yeah, that's an upscale.
This is an upscale, and I think there was nothing they could do because it's shot digitally, and the special effects, even if it was shot on film, the special effects were mastered in 1080, and you can tell. You can tell when you watch this. But let me just say that if you like this movie, it is bounds better. It's worlds better than the Blu-ray we had before. The color is better. All that stuff is better. And this is a freaking 4-disc set. There's so much in here. If you want the black and white version, it's in here. And there's discs of extras in here. So if you like this movie like I do, it might not be shot on film, and it might not, like, this movie does not compare in looks to anything else we're going to show. But a studio trying to do the best they can with an upscale and then giving us tons of extras, you gotta show it some love. And it's a good movie also. So that's why it's on my list.
I agree. I will say real quick here, a lot of people tend to think that upscale is a bad word when it comes to 4Ks. It's not. I mean, there's been some beautiful upscales, like Drive was an upscale from Second Sight. It's gorgeous. So, you know, I see that on social media all the time. Oh, it's upscale. It's going to suck. Not necessarily.
I don't love the idea of the upscale, but if it's all you have to work with,
exactly,
then the things that you can get better is the first thing you can do. And, you know, this is preaching to the choir, I think, from your audience, but you get better compression because you've got more room on the disc to let the movie live. And so your grain structure, if there's any like digital grain or whatever, is not going to be as bad. You're going to get a little bit better color because there's more work and love put into the color grade. So it's going to look better. It's not going to be a huge difference, but it's going to look better. Yeah. And for me, if you just get a better bit rate on the disc, that's enough to get my attention, honestly.
Oh yeah. I mean, that improves it significantly, just the bit rate alone.
Yeah.
Was that your number 13, or did you have
that's my number 13?
Okay. So my number 13, and I don't know if you have this or not, but I'm choosing Monster Squad.
I don't have it yet. I am going to get it.
So I have some screenshots here of it. I'm going to bring up here. So you can see the differences there between the previous Blu-ray and the 4K. I mean, the restoration work on this was just fantastic. The Blu-ray did not involve Fred Decker in the restoration work, and their new restoration did. I mean, the quality is just I almost thought, why compare the two? I mean, look at that shot there. You really can't compare the two. It's just significantly better. The audio is also, it's the same 5.1, but it's hold on here. There we go. It's the same 5.1, but I think they remastered it so it sounds a little bit better. It has more oomph to the audio quality, and you know, I mean, it's one of those where the Blu-ray, I looked at the Blu-ray and I was like, man, compared to the 4K, skin tones are pale. The blood doesn't look very red. It just was not a great Blu-ray. Now, at the time, it was the best we ever had at the time with Blu-ray. Now, when they went back and restored it from the original negative, we have corrected colors, and the way, and also the corrected aspect ratio. I think the Blu-ray was 178 and the 4K is 185. So it's the accurate ratio that the director wanted it shown in. Yeah.
A really funny thing about that movie too is I feel like Kino Lorber is playing games with me, because I put a video out on TikTok about that when that movie was announced. I put a TikTok out that said, I'm excited for this movie. I can't wait I'm so excited they're doing a 4K. but I hope that they give us some extras, because Kino Lorber can kind of cheap out on the extras. And literally yesterday, that was however long ago, 6 months ago, or whenever they made that announcement, they liked that video yesterday. And I said in that, video, wouldn't it be nice if they actually spent the time and went and got the great documentary about the movie and included it as an extra? And they did.
Yeah,
They did.
Yeah.
So I feel like they were kind of like poking at me when they decided to come and like that video.
Yeah. Well, thanks for reminding me about that. That just slipped my mind. Yeah, that's what's speaking of special features. It includes the full feature-length documentary back in 2018 as a third disc on this.
It's amazing.
So that was where I pulled the trigger, was when I saw it included the documentary, and I thought, okay, I got to get this. But it's great. Let's do your number 12.
All right, so my number 12 has two noteworthy things in my list. Number one, it's the only movie in my list that I actually don't like the movie. I don't usually include something that I have to have given the movie a good review to even start with, but this one, the only reason I even own it is for the extras, because I love filmmaking extras. But it is a beautiful 4K if you like the movie, and it is this Avatar: The Way of Water. This is the Steelbook. Yeah. I don't particularly like this movie, but if you like it, it is a stunning 4K. It is gorgeous. If you saw it in the theater, it looks the same here. But there are many hours of filmmaking extras here. This is the thing about James Cameron is... Oh, we got a floater. The thing about James Cameron is that when he puts something out, he gives you extras. He shows you what he did. He shows you the filmmaking aspects of it. It's got an entire disc in here of just extras. So it had to go on my list just because it's so definitive. If you like this movie, if you like the first movie, these 4Ks are worth owning. And these movies were created. I don't know if shot is the word, because a lot of it is CGI. All of it's CGI pretty much. It's motion capture. But they were done in like 8K. So the 4Ks are stunning. Highly recommended if you like the movies.
Yeah.
Or if you just like filmmaking. If you're a student of film, I'm a student of film. So if I can learn something about a filmmaking process, even if I don't like the movie, I'm going to own it. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I love them. They are all peak movies for me. But I've watched the extras more than I've watched the movies. It's because the bonuses are so good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And that new one that they came out with, like a few months afterwards, the collector's edition, it even has even more special features on there than that release. So I totally agree with that. My number 12 is one that I've been dying for a long time, and it never even got a Blu-ray release. And that is Martin Scorsese's After Hours. Beautiful 4K master. This is...
Ooh, we're going to have a problem, me and you.
Really? Oh, no.
We might be talking about this movie again.
And this was restored by Scorsese and Thelma Schumacher, his editor. And you can see the differences there with the color grading and the clarity. And this was also taken from Scorsese's own personal print that he had.
Nice.
So you don't like the movie?
I love this movie. No, I love this movie. I love this movie. In fact, I love it so much it's going to be higher in my list than it is in yours.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is about as close as you can get to seeing Scorsese do an indie movie. Because this movie definitely has an 80s indie vibe to it. And I love it. I wish he would give another go at that kind of storytelling. It's a beautiful movie that I've loved for most of my adult life, and it's been hard to find for years. And then Criterion gives us that beautiful presentation.
Yeah. Yeah, and just, I mean, look how crushed the blacks are. What? That's not it. That was something else. Sorry.
Spoilers.
Sneak peek. But it was, the black levels on the DVD was just crushed to hell. I mean, it just looked awful, the night scenes. And this also has some a new conversation with Martin Scorsese about the film. interviews, so it's packed with extras. This was one of my most anticipated of last year, and I'm just so happy that Criterion brought it out.
Nice.
All right, let's move on to yours.
So we're talking number 11 now?
Yeah, 11.
All right, let's see. Where is my number 11? All right, so my number 11 is, hang on. This guy right here.
Waiting. Oh, yeah.
This is the Paramount Screams box set. And I had to show love to this because I think Paramount is still trying to understand the physical media collector. They started out with that collector series, a Paramount Presents series, which was cool. I love the flip up, slip cover, and whatever, but they didn't do it in 4K, right? So I didn't buy many of them because then they would turn around and release the movie in a 4K. So it was a mess. And I think they finally sort of consolidated that series into 4Ks, which is good. And now they're doing these collections, and I hope this is the first in a series. Now, this is, again, another situation where there's movies in here I don't like, but this time the majority of what's in here I like. I think Smile is my least favorite movie in this set. I think it's just a mediocre movie. But we get a beautiful 4K of Rosemary's Baby in here. We get a beautiful 4K of Sweeney Todd in here. Now, Sweeney Todd was way overhyped by them. They're like, ooh, R-rated horror, it's going to be great. And Sweeney Todd disappointed a lot of people. But Sweeney Todd is a beautiful movie, and it looks beautiful on this 4K. There's individual slipcovers for each movie that you can only get in this set, so us slipcover nerds can love that. But yeah, inside here, let me open it up real quick. I'll show you. Inside here for extras is something that you wouldn't normally see from a studio release. Studios don't usually know how to do this kind of release, but they have an actual Fangoria magazine with articles about the movies in the set. I mean, this is like a legit magazine that features the movies in the box set, and it's got, Pet Sematary on the cover. So it's a beautiful, beautiful set.
Yeah, I missed out on that one. I didn't grab it. And one of the main reasons I wanted it so bad is because Sweeney Todd, I mean, the others are released individually on 4K, but except for Sweeney Todd. It's the only one that's not released on individually.
Well, I wanted to support the set, and also I needed Rosemary's Baby in 4K. I wanted Sweeney Todd in 4K. There was enough. I wanted Pet Sematary in 4K, and I hadn't bought it yet. So there was enough in there for me to say, okay, let me pull the trigger on this set because there's at least 3 or 4 movies in here that I want to own that I don't own yet. Yeah. So it was a good solid purchase for me. And the extras are great. There's a pin in there if you like pins. I don't care about pins that much, but it's just they actually had put some thought into the set. If you're just going to do Paramount Screams, let's dig into some of the really good Paramount horror for the next one. And I think this was an experiment, so I'm happy to support it.
Yeah, and I love that they included the Fangoria magazine. That's awesome.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
That's like the cherry on top of that set.
It really is. And being a magazine, I complain about this all the time. You can actually read it without worrying about damaging the spine. The perfect bound books that Arrow and Second Sight do, sometimes I'm afraid to touch them because they're so pretty. And you're just going to break that spine, Right.
Yeah. There's so many times you open it up and you hear it creak. Mm-hmm. You know it's going to break. And that's something that happened in one of my box sets I'm going to show later on. I'll show you what happened. My next up is, what's this, number
Isn't this number 11 for you?
That's number 11. And that is another Kino Lorber with Night of the Hunter. Just a absolute gorgeous 4K restoration. And one of the reasons why I picked this is it was this and another black and white movie, and I chose this one. Mm-hmm. And 12 Angry Men too is beautiful, and that's because I see a lot of people on social media ask, what's the point of restoring a movie that's black and white in 4K? There's no point to it.
That's crazy to me. And
I mean, I guess these are the people that think that the only benefit of 4K is having bright, vibrant, candy flavored colors. That's not.
Yeah, my cinematographer's like, it's not 1,000 nits, and I'm like, it's not always about 1,000 nits color or whatever. It's like, it's not just about that.
Yeah. I mean, they go. I mean, if people out there who are watching this don't exactly know, I mean, it's about clean up the negative, because negatives sometimes sit in storage for a number of years, even decades. They go in and clean it up from any kind of wear and tear.
And the film is still a film, so it's still gonna be higher resolution. Details are gonna stand out more. You're gonna see things in the background, props and things that you've never seen before.
Oh, exactly. And that's exactly how this is. I mean, I was debating between this and 12 Angry Men, and I chose this because it has, it's not stuck in one room. It goes outside, inside, different rooms. There's a lot of different sets. And this is just a beautiful 4K restoration. And it comes with a couple new extras. It comes with an interview from Ernest Dickerson, cinematographer. He talks about the film and how seeing this film when he was younger is what inspired him to become a cinematographer because of the cinematography in this. And the 4K just really showcases the rich cinematography in this. It's just beautiful.
I'll probably be picking that one up on one of the Kino Lorber sales that happen throughout this year. I haven't gotten it yet because I'm a little bit embarrassed to say I haven't actually even seen that movie. As a film teacher, and as a filmmaker, I haven't seen that movie. It's pretty embarrassing, but I'll get there.
What are you doing?
I know it's a fail. It's a fail. I know.
Okay, let's move on to what your is it number 10? Yeah,
number 10. Number 10. And this is a funny one because of the way I feel about this particular set. It's a box set, and it is the Psycho box set.
Oh, yeah.
So the thing about this is not available in the US, but it's not the first time you're going to hear me say that. You have to import this, but you can get it from Diabolic DVD, and it's $5 shipped, so it's cheap shipping. This is a beautiful 4K of Psycho, and it has the other movies here. And what's funny to me is I look at Psycho as what I bought, and all of these are bonus features. Yeah. For me, because they as it progresses, they get worse and worse and worse. Yeah. I enjoy the second one kind of. I mean, I enjoy all of them for different reasons, but I look at them as sort of addition, like extras. We get a beautiful book in this set. It's a slipcover that's gorgeous. And this particular book, like we were talking about the Perfect Bound situation, this is a Perfect Bound book. So I don't know how, I really want to read it because there's so much good stuff in here. Yeah. Tons of essays and that kind of thing. But when I got this and looked at the Psycho 4K, I was in love. And this is another, and I saved a little bit of my thoughts on that, your movie, because I knew we were just about to talk about another black and white movie in 4K. But the other thing that stands out to me with a good 4K presentation is the black and white that you can get from 4K. You get better gradients of gray than you would have gotten in the previous Blu-ray. So in a way, in a sense, you are getting a color enhancement with a black and white film. You know, one of the best ones I ever saw was a movie I actually don't really care for, is It's a Wonderful Life. But that was a beautiful, beautiful 4K that really showed me that. And then I see it again with this 4K of Psycho. Yeah. And if you like Psycho, if you really like Psycho and you want to have the definitive, you can get just the 4K on its own. But I enjoy the sequels too, just out of kind of bad, good fun. And it's a beautiful set.
Yeah, I mean, Psycho 2, I think, is definitely the best out of the sequels. But you're right.
100%.
It goes down, from good to bad to worse.
Yeah, but the great thing is you get extras on each movie. So there's so much in there to learn about the franchise and why the movies even happened and all that stuff. So it's a cool set.
Anthony Perkins directed the sequels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah, and going back to black and white, like you said, the grayscale is so much better on the 4K with the higher resolution and what they've done to it.
So you get those movies, all those movies in 4K for $60. I mean, it's a pretty great set for the price.
Geez, $60? I thought it was more expensive than that.
No, it was $60.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, guys, as Steven said, Diabolic DVD, that's my go-to place, really. Because they have a lot of imports. And it's $5, just standard shipping, $5.
So whatever we do this year as collectors, and I'm kind of preaching this on my TikTok, and when I do videos here on YouTube too, is let's try to give money to some other places than Amazon at this point. There's Diabolic DVD is a great spot. Also,
Orbit DVD.
Orbit DVD is the other really good spot. Those two companies are great. Grindhouse Video is a great online retailer.
I was just going to say that I just found out about Grindhouse Video because they closed their brick and mortar store and they're going strictly online now.
And what's interesting is they were strictly online for a long time. They had one little brick and mortar store in Florida. They moved that brick and mortar store to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I was going to go. It's about 3 hours from me, though, and it closed again before I got there. I'm so sad about that. But yeah, Grindhouse, their online has been going for a while. They've had a good partnership with like Ronin Flicks and things like that, so it's a good spot.
Just 1 second here. I want to show a picture real quick of something amazing.
Not a picture of something. Not the pictures.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. Hold on, guys.
Is it a picture of me?
No. Even better.
Oh, well, that's really good then.
I don't know if it could be better, but it's up there. So
why do you feel seen? Load bearing says he feels seen. I'm curious about why you feel seen.
I feel seen.
Yeah.
Or are you quoting a line from a movie, maybe? So I wanted to get this because this is coming out in April 7. And I really wanted this box set. And I couldn't find it anywhere less than $130. I found it for $109 on Grindhouse Video. And that's how I learned about Grindhouse Video. And their shipping isn't expensive either. You can do it. Actually, they have free shipping, or you can pay to have they're faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went ahead and ordered that on Grindhouse Video, the whole box set. And then I also ordered the Columbia Classics Volume 4 from Grindhouse. Their prices are really good.
Yeah, they're competitive with everybody else, and their shipping, if you spend a certain amount, is free, and then if you end up having to pay for expedited shipping, it's not that bad. It's pretty cheap still.
Yeah. One thing I fear about Amazon and Walmart is now that Best Buy's out of the picture, there's not a whole lot of competition there anymore, and they pretty much set the prices what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the downside of this, but
it is. So, and here's the other thing too. If you like studios like Arrow Video, you can order direct from them too. Now, like I was shocked the first time I ordered from Arrow UK. Before I started ordering from Diabolic, I ordered direct from Arrow UK, and it was $8, which is pretty cheap to get something shipped from the UK. You know, it's not that bad.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. A lot of people think shipping internationally is very expensive. Depending where you buy from, it's really not.
So I used to order direct from studios a lot because back not so long ago, Diabolic was not cheap on their shipping. They were high to me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But then when they went to this $5 flat thing, I'm like, that's done. I don't order from anywhere else now. My import stuff.
Yeah. I think post office started doing media mail. It's like a flat $4 or something. So yeah. Let's move on here.
All right.
My number 9. We're at 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 9. I forgot to bring it with me, but that is Super Cop. Police Story Part 3 Super Cop. And let me give you just a little behind the scenes on this. When it was released on Blu-ray, at least here in the States, it was at 1.85:1. The ratio is
oh God, here we go.
It's 2.40:1. Major difference there.
Huge.
And let me show you a couple pictures here. So, oops, that's not it.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So look at that. Look at the difference. If people don't think widescreen makes a difference, look at the difference there. I mean, and then of course the color grading has been restored. It's just a beautiful looking 4K. And I just can't get over the difference there with the aspect ratios. And I still don't understand why they didn't do at least a 2.35 for the Blu-ray instead of 1.85.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's just crazy, and then the colors are just outstanding.
Really that's beautiful,
bright. So that's my number 9, and it's released by 88 Films, and it comes in a box set with all types of swag, the booklet, poster, art cards, all that good stuff. And they also have just a standard edition that you can buy.
Okay,
and,
cool.
So that's my number 9.
All right. My number 9 is another box set, but we're pretty much about done with the box sets. Almost. And it is this beautiful Hellraiser box set. Also, again, from Arrow Video. It has, I'll show you on the inside. Now, this one has the 4K of the first Hellraiser is gorgeous. It's stunning. It's so good, in fact, there's a couple of points where you can see the practical effects, the age of them a little bit. Like, there's a part where a monster is coming at you. You can kind of see the wheels behind it a little bit, pretty clear. But that's part of the charm, right? Of when that movie was made. It was a low budget movie. Everything in this box set is beautiful. There's tons and tons of extras. And this book is in here. This is a hardback book. This is like an old school book. So you can read this to your heart's content and you're not going to hurt the spine at all. It's wonderful.
Oh, nice.
It has tons of great behind the scenes stuff in it. I'll show you on the inside. Let me show you something that's not going to get us booted. But yeah, this is literally just a beautiful set. And you will, if you've been a fan of Hellraiser, you're going to feel like you haven't seen the movie before after seeing this 4K. But this entire set is gorgeous. Now, again, this is not a domestic released version. You're going to have to get this from Diabolic, and there are Blu-rays in here too, and those are region B. So you've got to be in it for the 4Ks, and then I have an all-region Blu-ray player, so I don't care. But this is definitive, and we don't have this 4K in any form here in the U.S. as of yet. I think we will. I think we will. I bet we get this box set eventually in the U.S. because that's happened a few times where they put something out, and then the following year. The following year they put it out here, but I think it's a rights thing. Like it happened to me with True Romance because I love True Romance so much. I had to have it the minute they put that box set out, and then eventually they did put it out here. But it doesn't matter to me. It's the same box set. It's just the Blu-rays are region B disc, and it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, going back to rights issue, that's really the majority of reason why things aren't released here in the States compared to overseas. And I did notice I was looking through Diabolic, and if you don't like the sequels, Hellraiser, they are coming out with just a standard Hellraiser.
Just a 4K. Yeah. But why would you? The sequels are like extras. They're bonus features.
That's how I feel too. It's like, if you're going to buy it, just buy the rest. I mean,
Hellraiser 2 is great. I love Hellraiser. Hellraiser 2 is about equal to the first one to me. Then the rest are, not as good.
I've actually never seen past Hellraiser 2, but I love Hellraiser 2.
Yeah,
it's great. Let's see, what's my next one? My next one is another Martin Scorsese that came out, Mean Streets, and this was a very, very now I lost my word. Is it decisive? Release, and the reason being is because the original intended color grading was to have a greenish tint to it. Warner Brothers took that out, and they didn't have that. So that's what everybody's been used to seeing for a number of years. Now, when they're restoring 4K, Martin Scorsese has gone back with his own print to match the color grading to how it was originally supposed to be seen theatrically. And I have a couple of shots here that I kind of sneak previewed last time. So you can see here on the top at the 4K, a little bit of a greenish tint there compared to the Blu-ray. But that greenish tint draws out so much more information, so much more detail and depth to the image.
You can look at that comparison and tell that it was intended, that was intended to be there.
Exactly. I mean, I had people complain, well, the sheets aren't white like they are on a Blu-ray. But look how much better the image quality is. I mean, you can
look at the skin tones. The skin tones are accurate.
You can see the little freckle on Harvey Keitel's back compared to the Blu-ray. And then the Blu-ray had heavy crushing. Look at the difference here. There's so much crushing on the Blu-ray where you can it's engulfing the faces compared to the 4K. And it's like all that stuff. There's a reason Martin Scorsese knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Martin Scorsese also loves physical media. So if something comes out with his name on it, at least nowadays, you can bet if he had any insight into that release, it's going to be correct. this is how you learn whether a film critic or a physical media critic that you trust, you learn if they're an actual physical media critic or not. You know, when the Basic Instinct 4K came out, I learned who to continue following and who not to, because when that 4K came out, it was stunning. It was film accurate. I have seen the movie multiple times in theater because I'm lucky. My art house theater shows it occasionally. And when that came out, it looked correct. But so many people were like, no, they've screwed up the color because all the blue is gone. That blue is just part of the Blu-ray. And if you compare a 4K and say that the color in the Blu-ray is accurate, then you aren't doing it right, because a 4K is supposed to be accurate to the original source, not some previous physical release that you grew up with. So I stopped following a lot of critics over that, because I'm like, you really don't know what you're doing. You don't know.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you follow me on my channel, I mean, you know, Steven, I sound off on this all the time.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to do it again. I don't care. I'm doing it again because people who may not know. This is education. Here. I'm a teaching moment here.
Not the teaching moment.
Yeah, back in the day, studios had to change colors, change color tones, change the aspect ratio, change the whole appearance of the movie, because we were watching them on 4:3 CRT TVs, an analog format. Now, with 4K TVs and all the bells and whistles and digital format, they don't need to do that. So they bring the director in or the DP in, and they bring it back, restore it back to its original appearance, the way the filmmakers envision it to look and want you to see the film. So when you see a movie that looks a certain way and you've watched it for a number of years, and then you watch the 4K and it looks different, people just fly off the handle saying they effed up the 4K. They effed it up. They effed it up. Why did they ruin my childhood?
Yeah.
When really it's the reverse. What you've been used to for a number of years is wrong.
Was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a perfect example of this.
Oh God.
Right here, my number was at 7. Dragon Slayer.
Oh wait, what did we just do previous to that?
Did you do it or did I?
You just did it. Yeah, I was going to say, you're skipping me, boy.
Mean Streets. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, you did Mean Street. Yeah.
I'm getting too excited here.
You're getting too hyped up now.
Yeah, I'm getting too excited.
Yeah.
Oh well, I have to. So you can take 2 turns yourself.
Okay, fine.
Since we're in this.
All right, go ahead. It's fine.
This is the example. Dragon Slayer, which is my next choice. The DVD, which everyone's been used to for a number of years, compared to the 4K. It was never supposed to be yellow. The magic fire or whatever from the wizard is supposed to be green. I mean, look at the differences there. Yeah, the 4K is darker, but look how much better it looks compared to the DVD.
Yeah, but the thing about the darker though is it's accurate to the way it was in the theater. Exactly. It was darker in the theater. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, some early 4Ks did not do a good job with that conversion to the darker, and I will give you that. But they're better at it now. They're better.
Oh yeah, I mean the cave sequence right here. It's not as blown out from behind him. It's got actual color in it. And one way that I always notice is a lot of times the older masters, the fire is always blown out.
Yeah, that's usually a telltale thing.
Yeah, I mean it just looks fantastic. And so thank you for indulging me, because I just had to show that since we were talking about.
I knew that was a soapbox situation for you, but that one, it kind of is for me too, because that Basic Instinct is so beautiful and people just eat it. Just like slammed it. And I'm like, no, it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. All right.
You didn't actually show the Blu-ray, the 4K. You showed the screenshot, but you want to just show it real quick so people see what it looks like.
Sure.
So is this the steelbook or the slipcover?
This is the steelbook, and I love the artwork to this steelbook.
That steelbook is gorgeous, but there's nothing on the inside that to me they went kind of cheap on it. It is gorgeous on the outside though.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we did enough on the outside. We don't need to put anything on the inside.
I ended up getting the slipcover edition for that on purpose because I'm just kind of into that sort of black slipcover that they're doing with the gold, with the silver banner at the top. I just I just kind of like how it matches. All right, so this will be easy because my next one is one we've already talked about, and it's in its proper place in my list, and it is this guy right here.
After Hours.
After Hours. So this is a fish out of water story about a guy who's just trying to get home, and it's funny. It has Terry Garr in it. She's amazing in this movie, and this presentation, as you said earlier, is gorgeous. This is not one that's like you would use necessarily to demo your system because it is a subtle film. For Scorsese, it doesn't have a lot of his tropes, his typical go-to tools that he does. It doesn't have the epic oneer from like Goodfellas. It's not that kind of movie. This is a character movie, and it looks beautiful. There's really good extras in here, and like you said, there's a new conversation in here with Scorsese. It's Criterion. They know what they're doing.
Well, and also... oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. What you want to say?
So just a little history. When Martin Scorsese decided to make this movie, because he was on a downslope between, I think, Raging Bull and this. He wasn't really. He kind of lost his mojo on making film. He didn't know what to do. He was kind of in a rut. And I think it was Coppola or someone else that said, "Hey, go back to your roots of independent filmmaking. Make an independent film. Just go out and do it." And this is what we have is After Hours, and it's terrific. I love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely
and the 4K is beautiful. The 4K is film accurate to best of my knowledge. I've seen it in a repertory screening, and it looks like I remember seeing that screening. So
nice. That's nice. Go ahead. Since I did too.
Yeah. So my next one is one you actually recently just talked about, but I love this one so much that it had to go ahead and be on my list, and it's the High Tension.
Yes.
This is a second sight release. Again, this is another import situation. The 4K is all region though, so you're fine. You can get this from Diabolic DVD. It's a beautiful hardbox edition with a beautiful book. The only thing that I don't like about this particular presentation from an archiving perspective is I don't like this digipack. I would prefer an Amory case, but this 4K is beautiful. And this movie is a tough movie to properly get color-wise because there's a lot of things happening color-wise in this movie. And the previous DVD that I saw, I don't know if there was a Blu-ray this night. I can't remember from your review, but the DVD was awful. So seeing this was like a breath of fresh air. There's decent extras in here. This is a French horror movie from the early 2000s. This is part of what is called the New French Extremism. So it's not for everybody. It's a very intense movie. But if you're into the gore and stuff, the 4K in this lets you see it. The practical effects in here look incredible. Oh. It is a grainy movie, and it was shot that way out of necessity because of budget and also because they wanted it to be that way. This movie takes a lot of inspiration from 70s grindhouse from US movies. You'll find out that a lot of French horror movies from like 99 to about 2015 were leaning heavy into Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
And this one does that too in some spots. And it's beautiful.
I will say that if you're a grain hater, you're not going to like this movie because the grain is pretty thick sometimes.
Yeah, but the structure is good though. I didn't feel like stuff was moving on screen. Oh, yeah, it's kind of really crappy where the grain feels like it's actually moving. Yeah, I didn't ever feel that from this presentation.
Yeah, it's really nice and tight grain. Now, I want to bring us real quick here. Tidbit Kid says something that I want to bring to attention. It says, and I believe this is regarding Mean Streets. The editor, Sidney Levine, passed in 2020, so perhaps have a leg to stand on for Mean Streets, which may have never gotten approval from him. Now, here's the thing. Why do you care what the editor thinks of how it should look? It's the director's vision. The DP helps to bring that vision to life. So if
so wait, are we talking about the editor or so we're saying that the editor wasn't involved in that presentation?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Mm-hmm. But a director has a certain style that he wants to go for. The DP is supposed to bring that to life. Mm-hmm. And so if an editor doesn't like what the director's doing with the color, it doesn't matter what he thinks.
Too bad. Yeah, it's too bad.
It doesn't matter. So even if he didn't like what they did with Mean Streets, Martin Scorsese wouldn't care.
It's his movie.
His opinion doesn't matter when it comes.
And if you're talking about color specifically, the editor doesn't have that much to do with color anyway. If you want to get deep, if you want to go deep into it in post-production, the person that you talk to is the colorist, which is a different person altogether than the editor most of the time. But yeah, the colorist, the editor, anybody in post is going to get their color information from the director of photography, who is executing a vision from the director. Exactly. So when you see something that's supervised by the editor, if you see a physical media release that's supervised by the editor, that's only because they either couldn't get or couldn't afford the director of photography or the director to come in and do it. So then they go to the editor because it's the third best choice, right? But at the end of the day, the editor doesn't have any say in anything. The editor is a utility. A good editor can really help save a movie for sure, but they don't define the movie. That's just not how it works.
Yeah, rare exceptions, something like Star Wars. The editor, his wife saved the movie by the editing choices that she made.
For sure.
So there's some rare examples there. But yeah, I mean, and even the DP. Sometimes the DP and the director butt heads. Example of that is Possession. The DP wanted it to have more of a brownish color tones to give more life to the image, while the director wanted more gray, bluish tones to give it more of a somber atmosphere. And so they butted heads on that. And
So I question, on that note, the Scream Factory 4K of Halloween. I own that one, but I refuse to give up my Lionsgate 4K. Because I've seen Halloween on film, on a 35mm print, many times. And the Halloween release is film accurate. The Scream Factory 4K is, I think, awful. I hate the colors in the Scream Factory 4K. I think it looks bad. But Dean Cundy says, this is how we wanted to do it. We just couldn't for budgetary reasons or whatever. I don't buy that. I think this is Dean Cundy kind of bringing his vision into the film. And that's why I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, that's also why when I look at 4Ks, I always look at, who's approving the transfer? Is it the director or the DP or the editor? And I always go with the director because I want to see the way he moves.
90% of the time, though, like you said, 95% of the time, the DP and the director are on the same page. They just are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're on my next one, and I don't remember what
number
we're on.
You blew it. I don't know. I'm just going down my pile at this point.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing too. All right, so my next one is Serpico, now the Kino Lorber. This is another one where...
Kino Lorber will send you your check next week.
Yeah, I'm getting a check next week. And contrary to popular belief, they're not sending me movies either. But this is another one where Warner Brothers changed the color grade, or was it Paramount? Paramount changed the color grading to this. And I've got more examples here. Imagine that. So you can see the differences here with the Blu-ray and the 4K. The whites are actually looking white.
Look at those skin tones. They look so much better.
Look how drowned out the Blu-ray looks. Another one that was a huge one is this one right here. Look how blown out the background is on the Blu-ray compared to the 4K. It's like...
Look at the police officer's shirt is glowing.
Now, true. With the perp he's arresting, you can see his face better on the Blu-ray, but that's because it was brightened up. On the 4K, you really can't, but still, the 4K looks so much better.
Well, and it's more film accurate. You can see enough of his face because you can see they have a little pop of light there on his forehead, and that was intentional. So this looks how it's supposed to look. And if you look, you can see more of the background in the 4K versus the Blu-ray.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as blown out. You can see the fence and the grass and the buildings much clearer. And there's another shot where that car looks actually green instead of the Blu-ray where it looks more bluish. And yeah, I mean, it just goes back. This is another one where I did a comparison of, and people were telling me I was wrong, that the Blu-ray looks so much better. And I don't understand how you can think...
Yeah,
this looks better. The Blu-ray looks better than the 4K on either one of the. How can you say the Blu-ray looks better than the 4K on this shot?
Real quick, what's up to Zedzilla? I see you in here. What's up, dude? Good to see you.
Zed's in here. Hey, Zed, what's going on? Glad you can join us. All right, next up, your turn.
All right, my next up. This one came out from Arrow Video first, and it didn't come out over here in the United States. I didn't get it. I waited, and I usually am mad that I wait because I missed their special edition or whatever, slipcover edition, whatever. But I made a good decision and waited because we finally got the Scream Factory version, Videodrome. This is not for everybody, but I'm a huge fan of David Cronenberg. And this one is an example where we were talking about practical effects. The practical effects pop in this one, and there's some gross stuff in this movie. If you're in for it, it's James Woods. It's a wild ride, and the color palette in this one is properly presented. Finally, the previous Blu-ray that they put out was very good. It was nice. It was Criterion, but this amps up everything. The resolution shows us more detail, especially in James Woods' face, because his face has always been cracked, and you really see it in this movie. And again, like I said, the practical effects, the gross stuff is way grosser. And I was nervous that they wouldn't carry over their cool art, their cool packaging, but they did. This has like the beta tape design, and even when you take the case out, it still looks like a beta tape, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful little bit of extras. And the extras here, most of the extras here are just transferred over, but I had to put it in the list because, one, it already had fantastic extras, but this amps up everything as far as 4K presentation. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite films, and I was just so happy we finally get it. And it's not the last time you're going to see Cronenberg on my list.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I went ahead and bought the Arrow when it was announced because I was thinking, I don't know if they're going to come out in 4K on Criterion. And then, what is it? 6 months later, they did. I wish I would have held out for the Criterion because I love that artwork with the video cassette. But yeah, it's a fantastic 4K. Next up on my list is Swamp Thing, MVD's second.
I have that coming my way, but I don't have it yet. It's being sent to me.
This is a huge 9-day difference. Wouldn't you know it? I got stills here for you.
Of course you do.
I mean, it's just right here. Now, this is a shot that I got a lot of hate on because everyone was saying, I can't see what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Well, it's too dark. But when you watch the scene, the entire section of that area is engulfed in black smoke. It's not as the Blu-ray shows where it's bright and there's no smoke there.
Yeah.
So this is also film accurate where they shot it. It's real fire that they use, and the whole set was just engulfed in black smoke, and that's what you see, along with the fire not being blown out as it is on the Blu-ray.
I know it's dangerous. I know it is, but boy, I miss real fire. We hardly get it anymore in movies.
You can always tell when it's.
It can always fire. Tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at the Blu-ray here is really crushed. The blacks, you can barely see Swamp Thing in there, and now. So this is just a phenomenal UHD.
So a side note, if you have a Best Buy near you, don't trust the website, and you want this movie, you should pop into your Best Buy because they have two. MVD has two in this new line. They have Swamp Thing and they have Ghoulies, and they're $30-something for those, like $32 or $34, something like that. I got Ghoulies for $16 in
Really?
Best Buy.
Wow.
And I had a friend of mine in another part of the country found Swamp Thing for me for the same price.
Oh, nice.
So if you don't own these movies, you might check your Best Buy because they're beautiful additions for that cost.
Yeah, I mean they're getting rid of all their stock, so marking down everything. All right, so what's next for you?
All right, so this is I'm proud of this that there is a studio movie, a big studio movie, like in my top 10. And this, I lied earlier, this is another collection, but there's a couple of movies in here that I really love it for, and it is the Star Trek original films collection.
Nice, yeah.
I love this set. Now I think it's a waste in a way because you get the Blu-rays here in a separate. This is what Paramount does. They did this with Mission Impossible. I'm glad to have these Blu-rays, but I think it would have been better in a smaller box. But packaging here aside, because this packaging is not great,
Yeah.
There's a ton of extras here. They've accumulated a lot of extras for these movies over the years, and they brought a lot of them over. Not everything, because there's so much, but there's plenty here. And my favorite films in this set, Wrath of Khan. Wrath of Khan is in my top 3 films of all time. I love Wrath of Khan. Go ahead.
And it includes the director's cut.
It includes the director's cut, correct? Which I was so happy because now because I had it twice. I had the Blu-ray, and then they put the director's cut out later on Blu-ray, so I can get rid of both of those.
Yeah.
Wrath of Khan looks great. Undiscovered Country looks great. These are beautiful 4K upgrades. In these movies, the ship is a miniature, is a practical, and it looks gorgeous. Like the practical ship effects look gorgeous. Now there's some early like rotoscoping type of stuff or whatever, and it looks like it's supposed to look. It doesn't look bad. It looks like it's supposed to look because it was all done on film. And it's beautiful. Highly recommend this set. If you love these Star Trek movies, these 4Ks are beautiful. The colors are crisp and they pop. I'm just happy that Paramount is showing us this kind of love with this kind of box set. And they have another set for the newer movies, and I'll get that one eventually, but I like these a lot more.
Well, I mean, yeah, it looks, the Next Generation movies looks great, but it doesn't look as good as those. And you're right. I mean, I did a comparison between the movies, and you can see all the little details in the model ships. It just looks incredible.
Because the models that they use are actually, if you look at the bonus features, you can see them. They're giant. When you say miniature, it's miniature to scale. It could be the size of a small boat or the size of a desk, so that they can really put detail on it and run across it with a camera for those sweeping shots of the ship. And they look gorgeous.
Now, I have to stand on my soapbox one more time here.
Go ahead.
Because I had so many people complain about Star Trek II, how it looked very waxy looking. Now, I interviewed Nicholas Meyer, the director of Star Trek II, and I asked him about this. And he said that was done on purpose. They shot all of the Enterprise crew under soft focus, and they kind of smoothed it out to make...
Everybody was getting a little scared of their age at that point.
That's why. He said because the actors wanted to look younger than they were. And that's the only reason. That's why when you see the difference between Khan's crew and the Enterprise crew, it looks a little different there because because of the soft focus with the Enterprise crew. Yeah,
I'm usually sensitive to that waxy look, but it looked like soft focus to me in this. Yeah. It didn't look like waxy like Terminator 2 looks like waxy.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to if you know what you're talking about and you know what you're looking at, you understand what you're looking at, you know the difference between soft focus and when they go in and just smooth the image. It's two different things here. But yeah,
I've seen this movie twice on film. I saw a beautiful, pristine 35 of it, and this looks the same to me. And then I got to see a really beat up redshifted one where everybody looked like they had a sunburn. So that was pretty joyous too.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one to grab if 4K.
And I think it was down to like $76 for 6 movies or 6 4Ks. Are you kidding me?
Now what I hated though,
it's a steal.
What I hated though, and I don't blame people for being upset about this. Paramount first released just the first 4 movies in 4K, and everybody bought them up, and then a couple months later they release all 6. And
well, see, my response to you is you're a noob, because I was like, hell no, I am not doing that. Star Trek I prefer Star Trek to Star Wars. I am a Star Trek nerd, but I knew eventually we're going to get all of them, because even if for no other reason, Undiscovered Country is one of the best movies in the franchise. They're not going to not include that in a box set at some point. And they did. They finally did. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to take a wait and see.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm still waiting to see if they're going to release all 6 Rocky movies instead of just the 4 that they released.
Exactly. I haven't bought that set either.
Yeah, I think they're going to, but they're just still working on them. My next is an older movie, and the reason why I chose this is because of the monumental work the studio did on restoring this film. That is, let me zoom in here. Invaders from Mars. Now,
I just got that in. I haven't watched it yet.
Dude, when I did my comparison, my video on it, I wanted to really know the insides of this restoration, what they did. So I spent time talking back and forth in emails with the person who spearheaded, who supervised this restoration. They spent 5 years restoring this film. The biggest problem that they had is that the original negative, for one reason or another, it got ruined, it damaged, and they weren't able to use it, and so they just put in a still image. So all of a sudden you'll have movement, and all of a sudden a still frame, just stillness, and then to go back to. And so what they wanted to do is they were hunting down how to fix this, hunting down the original negative if they could salvage it in any way. And they spent a couple years trying to find it, and they finally found something they could use. You can tell because it doesn't look, seamless. You can definitely tell.
Probably dips in quality in some of those spots.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's fine because at least you've got it,
Yeah. But I mean, usually a restoration work is 2 years, sometimes 3. This went on for 5 years, and it was a monumental task. And so they did some outstanding work on this, and we never had this on Blu-ray before. It's DVD. I mean, the movie itself, it's not that great of a movie, but I mean, look at that, the difference there between the DVD and the 4K.
Well, there's no question in the resolution, but what is kind of surprising is for a DVD, the colors aren't that far off.
Well, yeah, look at here, the DVD compared to the 4K. I mean, if you don't have a trained eye, you would think there's no difference.
Pretty close. You would think it's close. Yeah. But no, if you look at the red in her shirt, for example, there's no question.
Yeah.
I want to answer something from. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say I want to answer something from the chat because this falls into something that I've been working on. So I think it's called
Tidbit Kid.
Tidbit Kid. He says, I say the editor as they probably watched the movie more than others in its widest and current presentation. So I want to answer to that real quick because I'm doing a whole run. I'm a filmmaker myself, and I worked on a lot of different projects and that kind of thing. So I'm doing a whole run on my TikTok, letting people know the different jobs that filmmakers have, the different positions on a film set and what they do. And when you say that about the editor, so when you think about the colorist does not typically touch the film until the edit is done. There is no purpose in investing time in scenes that don't end up making the movie. So your colorist, your sound guy, those guys don't get the movie until it's locked.
Yeah.
So if you're asking who's seen the movie the most in its proper color and proper look, that's going to be the sound guy or the composer. May at the end of the day have seen it more. Like honestly, though, it's the colorist. It's the one who's seen it in its proper rendition the most. The editor is usually working on uncolored stuff. Like my editor gets stuff that's still shot in log. We don't do anything with the final look of the film until we have a locked cut. So
that's something that I mean, I know editors who will only edit in black and white because they edit so much. You can see all the things that you want to be able to tell on color. A lot of editors do that, and with color it's drowned out.
Real quick though, Tippy Kid, I'm not trying to like focus on you or anything, so don't take offense. It's just, it's an interesting part that people think that, and I think it's a good thing to kind of clear up and talk through.
Yeah, I agree. And I've worked on some films where the composer actually gets the rough cut before anybody else does because they want them to start working on the music ahead of time before everything else. So
yeah, sometimes I've had some situations where the composer is on set, watching just for inspiration, But yeah, when you're talking about who sees the final cut the most, it's going to be the director because they're in the room with everybody, or it's going to be the colorist. They see it when it's done the most. Yeah. And Zed, I think you're following me. I did a whole thing on what the producer does, and you're kind of right. They are the money men. They're the manager. They're like the business manager of the film.
Actually, that was Death Battle that said that.
Is it Death Battle? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a shortcut to what they are, but some producers do more. There are some producers that you can tell that's their movie because they have a thumbprint on it, but usually the producer is the business manager.
you have a producer like Spielberg where he's by name only, and if you
Mhm.
really need him, he'll step in. But basically by name
Or
only.
or if he gets really upset that someone else is directing a movie he wanted to direct and didn't have time to do it, then you get Poltergeist.
Yeah, right.
That looks 50% Spielberg, 50% Hooper. Like
That's why we
literally
have
does.
that whole thing. Who really directed it?
Exactly.
Spielberg or
Or
Hooper?
Toby Hooper. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So how many do we have more? I think 2 more.
2? No, I have 4 more.
4 more. Did I
Yeah.
go way ahead of you?
You might have. You might have.
Okay. Well, let's
right,
run
so
through yours.
Here's what I have next. We're about to do a run on one company here for a hot minute, but this company put out some bangers this year. And I said we're going to see David Cronenberg again, and we're going to see him right now with Existence, or Existence is actually how it's pronounced in the movie. Existence. It's Existence, but spelled out. It's clever. So it's a movie has Jennifer Jason Leigh and Jude Law in it. It's a really good science fiction movie / body horror. She's a video game designer there's a flaw in her game, and she's trying to like get into the game to see if there's hackers. Jude Law is her assistant. And the game is a virtual reality game that attaches to your spinal cord. I have loved this movie since I was a kid, and it has not been out in a good version. It's been out of print for a while. It was just out in a DVD, and they gave us this stunning edition here. Did you pick this up yet?
I didn't. I'm holding out.
You have failed, sir, because this is out of print. This one is out of print now.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
the box set's out of print. You can still get the movie in this form. You can get it like this. Yeah, it's still out there, the standard edition, and it's worth it. There's great extras in here, and this 4K presentation is gorgeous. There's always something kind of gross about the body horror of David Cronenberg, and you would think, oh, it's just a video game movie. But the device itself, the game, it's on the slipcover right there. That thing is gross. When they play with it, it just has a gross look to it. It looks like human skin. And when you see it in 4K, you're like, oh, really? There's something about it that's so disturbing. The beautiful 4K, wonderful extras. If you like that sort of hybrid body horror science fiction thing, you need to get this one. It's very, very good. Very good. It's from Vinegar Syndrome. And the thing about Vinegar Syndrome, if you don't know, I would say most of your watchers probably know this, but you pretty much have to go to a second market to get their stuff, especially if you want the slipcover editions. You need to go to their website, or you need to go to Diabolic DVD or Orbit DVD. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good.
Also, Vinegar Syndrome does all their in-house restoration work. They don't send it out
to
third parties.
You know the story, right, of how Vinegar Syndrome got started doing that, right?
No, I don't.
So there is a documentary coming out. They did an in-house documentary that hopefully will get out here pretty soon. But their first machine they had for restoring prints it was an old Criterion machine.
Oh, really?
That they acquired, and that's how they got started. Yeah, and of course they used that machine from Criterion in their early days to restore, porn. Because that's how they got their start.
That's how they started, right?
Yeah, it's how they started. So it's kind of amazing that's where they came from. But this is beautiful. Like I said, this hard box edition's gone, but you can still get the 4K, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I missed out. I missed out on that, and then last year or the year before with Texas Chainsaw 2, I missed out on that slipcover too. I just got the.
So you literally only have 2 left.
Yeah, I do. Go ahead and do.
All right, so then I'm going to do this next one. Again, we're sticking with Vinegar Syndrome, but all I gotta say is, damn, this
I knew you were
set.
I knew you were going to show that one.
This set is stunning for a drinking movie. There's so many drinking games based off this movie. Again, this hard box set is gone, but you can still get the movie in a standard edition. Inside here, the slipcover. I'm just gonna put my hand there. It's not technically naked, but kind of close.
It's naked enough.
It's questionable. Yeah. So there's the actual original artwork from when the movie first came out. This restoration is gorgeous. I know you did a comparison on this, correct?
No, I didn't.
You did? What?
I ended up picking it up.
You failed, sir, because this is a beautiful set. Again, there's a book in here. I'm just going to put it's not naked, but this is algorithm based, so we'll cover that up. But there's great articles in here about the movie. This is a movie that when it came out, I hated it. I thought, man, it's hot garbage. I love Paul Verhoeven though. And I went back to it later, and I kind of at that point started to get what he was doing, go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Now, I was the same way. I hated the movie. I thought, what is this crap? And so I haven't seen it in probably about 20 years, honestly. But my thing was, okay, Paul Verhoeven does satire. We know that with RoboCop,
Yeah.
Total Recall, Starship Troopers. So obviously he was trying to go for satire with Showgirls, but to me, it didn't execute it the way they wanted. I don't think, because you're watching it and you're thinking to yourself, okay, is this meant to be satire? Is it meant to be funny, or is it just really bad?
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. I don't think there was a minute on set he was taking the movie seriously. Yeah. And I think it's weird. Okay, so I think it's actually subtle in that way. It didn't go enough into being like a joke that we're all supposed to share for us to know that that's what it is. It's kind of like, weirdly, if you think about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when Tobe Hooper would talk about that movie, he would tell you that it had a lot of comedic elements in it, but nobody got it because it was so over the disturbing parts were so overbearing that no one saw the comedy. And his answer was Texas Chainsaw 2. He's like, okay, fine, I'm going to be very blatant with it then. Yeah. And people hated that too. You couldn't, but this one, I think the hey, you're supposed to laugh at this movie was too subtle. He should have leaned into it. I would not like it if he did a comedy.
Yeah.
But I do think the commentary he was making, and also he's making fun of movies and culture that people like us already hate. Right. So that kind of movie, that kind of sex movie that he was spoofing on and that kind of thing was stuff that I already hated. So it took me a while to sort of settle into what he was doing. And I can come at it as a person who hates those type of movies and enjoy Showgirls in that way. And that's why I came back around to it. There's a ton of extras on that 4K. The 4K is gorgeous. It is another really great success story from Vinegar Syndrome. Skin tones are important in this movie because there's a lot of skin in it and it looks accurate. People look overly tanned, and they were in the original movie. It's gorgeous. If you can get with the movie, if you're drinking games with it or whatever, it's a beautiful, beautiful 4K. And there's a lot of good behind the scenes. Like you have questions like you're asking right now. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of talk about the commentary in the movie and stuff in the bonus features. So it really might help. Sort of spill into the.
I did see a newer interview with Paul Verhoeven where he was saying basically what you just said, that in no way was he taking it seriously. It was on set. He was spoofing sex movies and all that.
Like the dance scene where she's dancing and doing this Vogue stuff is hilarious. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Yeah. I like I said, it's been about 20 years since I've seen it. I need to check it out again.
Agree.
Before we get into the next one, Death Battle here says, Vinegar Syndrome puts out so much garbage in recent years, minus a few good ones. And that's one reason why I haven't splurged to do the subscription base.
No, I will never do the subscription.
Yeah, I've had friends do the subscription, and they get so much garbage that it's not worth the price.
And here's the thing: their market, and it's weird because Vinegar Syndrome has done some mid-tier movies now, like Showgirls, that have started to get the mainstream collectors' attention. Yeah. And then they complain that they're just putting out garbage. Well, the fact is, Vinegar Syndrome always put this stuff out for the people who like it, and hopefully they continue. My fear is they start being successful with stuff like Showgirls and other movies that they forget their core foundation. Well, which is because there are some of those movies that you would think are garbage that are actually good. Yeah. Like you have to be able to know the movies enough to find the diamond in the rough. And that's part of what I love about Vinegar Syndrome is when I do find something that's bad, that's so much fun. But you got to be willing to take that risk. And that's why I do it only when things are on sale. If it's a movie I don't know.
Exactly. And now what they're doing, they announced it that they're splitting it into two different studios or labels, I guess.
They split off all the adult stuff into its own label, which I think is a smart thing to do.
Yeah, it is. It is. Mm-hmm. Now here's time for you to get back on your soapbox because Tidbit Kid makes a statement here.
Okay.
But that was shot on film, so the editor would have it processed already from the lab.
No. The editor would have a rough, just raw version of the film. They don't process any. They don't color anything. Even when it was on film, they still color corrected and color graded. They just did it on film. It was done analog style. So yeah, you would have dailies and stuff. It's still unfinished. It's still unfinished.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, even Jaws. The editor was editing Jaws while they were filming Jaws. I mean, and that happens a lot where films that are being shot in production are being edited at the same time. So that's not necessarily true that they get to see.
There's still things you can do after the film is developed to color.
Yeah, exactly. So I've even known some directors I've worked with where they color it and then they change their mind and go back and recolor it because they didn't like the way certain things look. So
now, granted, there's a lot less you can do color-wise on film than you can do now on digital, of course. But yeah, you have an editor that they're working really early on it.
Yeah,
and a lot of times you have what's called the editor's cut. And this is what editors do. They get the raw footage and they do their own cut, what they think is a good movie. And that's what the director sits down and looks at and then says, no, yes, no, yes, no, and refines it to the director's cut. Yeah. So yeah, they're early in the process.
Yeah, the director can build off of what the editor has put together. All right, so the last two.
But you're partially right, Tibbet Kid. You're partially right.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I couldn't remember if this actually came out in 2023 or the end of 2022.
Uh-oh. Cheats.
So here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
My number two. Oh, yeah. My number two. Wait, you know what? I had three. I have one down there I forgot about. But my number three is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Did that come out earlier this year?
No, that came out in February 2023.
Okay.
So, do you want to just wait on this one and talk about it later when we talk about it when it's in its proper number?
Sure. Let's put that aside then.
Number 3. How dare you?
Number 3. Okay. Do you have 2 left?
I have 2 left. Yeah.
Okay. Let me do mine. Okay.
Do yours. Yeah.
You want me to do another? Okay.
Yeah.
And I might get some hate for this because I got over 300 comments under the video of pure hatred. But it is Titanic.
I haven't seen it yet. I don't have it yet.
Titanic is just a gorgeous, gorgeous 4K presentation. Some screenshots here. So, I mean, the Blu-ray, like what we've talked about before, where sometimes the DVD color isn't too far off. The Blu-ray, it looked great on Blu-ray, but you can definitely tell a difference there on the 4K. And then, like, the water there is more definition, more like a greenish color from the lights going underneath the water. Difference here.
Nice.
Actually more bluish than greenish. And the sunset isn't as blown out as it is on the Blu-ray. So, yeah, this is a beautiful 4K. And a lot of people are complaining, well, it's edited by AI. And they were saying the same thing with The Abyss and True Lies. I actually know a person that worked on not this restoration, but True Lies and The Abyss. And he said AI was only used to ensure color correctness or color accuracy is what he said. It wasn't used to just restore the entire movie. James Cameron had hands-on supervision over that. But yeah, it's a gorgeous 4K.
Oh, JT the talking head won't stop talking about Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently he likes it too.
Oh, and let me show you too what we complained about earlier about cases where you're afraid to open it up because it'll rip. This is one thing I hate about these envelopes. And you're going to see something that is going to make some people have a heart attack.
No, don't. You're going to hurt me with this.
I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yeah, they meant that to be torn. Yeah, I hate that.
Is just, yeah, I hate that.
You have to be so delicate with those.
And I was trying so delicate to be delicate, and inevitably it's going to rip. And it still rips even. So I wish, because it opens up to hold everything that's included in it. And so if this rips, you don't really have anything to hold it in the package. So I really hate that they did that. But
so I love Titanic, but not enough to buy that expensive box. I'll just get the slipcover edition.
Yeah, and this is pretty cool. This came with a coffee table book.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. And it comes with like storyboards and schematics of the Titanic and all that cool stuff.
I think that one's gone now, isn't it? Didn't it sell out?
I think so. I'm not sure.
It was expensive. I was like,
Yeah, it was. I think it was list for 120.
yeah, that's a lot for one movie.
Yeah. All right.
But that just tells how much I like it or don't like it, because I spent $100 on one movie before. I spent $89 on my Dawn of the Dead box set. So, but it's beautiful.
That's worth it. That's worth it. Titanic is amazing. Super glad that they picked Leonardo DiCaprio. Or back in the day, we used to call him Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, Titanic is a 5 out of 5 movie. I love it. I just don't want to spend that much money on the single because so I'll just get the slipcover edition.
Yeah, I do think this is out of print now anyway. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
My number 2, staying with Vinegar Syndrome, and it is Roadhouse. Did you get this one?
Oh, yeah, I got it. I was thinking that came out at the end of 2022. It came out 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have it. It's on my shelf over there.
This is another one of their beautiful hardbox. Now, you obviously can't get it. It's out of print. This hardbox edition, but you can still get the movie in a standard 4K edition. I'll just take it out of the box so you can see what it would look like if you ordered it. It'll just be this guy.
Yeah.
So it is. What I think is this is a lower budget movie to begin with. So you don't expect the source to be in like the most wonderful shape. So when I saw this 4K and I saw what a good job Vinegar Syndrome did with it, I was quite impressed. Good extras here and stunning packaging. This is a fun sort of 3 out of 5 kind of action movie you can throw in with friends and have cocktails and have a really good time with it. This is highly recommended. And I think this one, just like this, I think I saw this version on Hamilton Books for $25.
Really?
For the 4K. Yeah. But it's just this with no slip. And that's fine. You get all the extras, you get all the discs, you get the 2-disc set, you get everything. It's just you don't get the packaging. This is very top tier for me because this is the kind of movie that you don't think a studio would give this level of treatment to. And so it takes a company like Vinegar Syndrome to come in and say, hey, people love this movie as much as Titanic. There's just fewer of us that love it that much. So we're going to give you a beautiful 4K. And again, you get a beautiful perfect bound book here. Again, do I crack the spine to read the book? I don't know. I haven't decided.
Yeah. Hang on one second here because I need to see. I was going to put this on my list, but I was thinking it was in 2022 for some reason.
Nope.
I am going to grab a couple of screenshots here because it needs to be seen.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Hang on.
It's just sort of stood out to me over everything. These it's crazy to have this many Vinegar Syndromes in my top 10 because usually there's one. Like I think Beastmaster was one, and then I think last year when we did this, I think I had what's the kid movie they did last year? Not Daryl, from 2022. Cloak and Dagger. I'm pretty sure Cloak and Dagger, even though there's a misprint on the box, was still in my top 10 just because I loved it so much. It wasn't perfect. The 4K wasn't perfect. I think we agreed that some of the reds and stuff were just a little bit hot.
Yeah.
On that 4K, but the source material was pretty rough, so it was stunning. So, I'm trying to like BS here. You take it too long, sir. I'm running out of shit to say.
I'm sorry. Please.
Let me see if there's anything in the chat that I need to answer to. Yeah, Cloak and Dagger. Tim K has it. I've never watched Roadhouse at all. So Roadhouse, Zed, is just a fun. So you probably know the story. It's just a professional bouncer comes into a bar where people are like a hot mess, and he has to clean it up. There's a really funny, it has one of the most weird and funny sex scenes ever put on camera to me. It's just bizarre. And Jeff Healey is in it, who is an amazing blues guitar player. He's a blind guy. He plays with a guitar in his lap. He's in the movie. He's left us now, unfortunately. So that's another reason. The soundtrack is great. Jeff Healey does a lot of the music in the movie. And Sam Elliott is in it, and he's a beast. He's just really fun.
Sam Elliott.
He's really fun in the movie.
I got some images now. Okay. Here we go. All right. So I just grabbed these real quick.
Okay.
So there's the image there. Blacks aren't as crushed as they are in the Blu-ray. A good one. Like now, a lot of people are saying it's like 4K is darker than a Blu-ray, but look how much more detail and colors are
It's
drawn out
accurate.
because of that. Yeah,
it's accurate. Yeah, because when you have something that's been brightened, it takes the detail away. So
that's the thing too. Like going back to what we were saying before about how they would students would change the color. They would also artificially brighten it. I mean, look at that. Look how green the grass and the trees are.
It's gorgeous. It's just, this is why it had to be my number 2, because it's not just about how good a transfer is. Sometimes it's about how good a transfer is based on the source material they had to work with.
Right.
You know, and this is a lower budget movie. It was shot with lower quality film. So we're lucky that the source was in as good a shape as it was, and it looks immaculate. It's stunning. That's why it's my number 2.
All right, hold on here.
All right.
I accidentally deleted something I didn't want to delete.
You blew it. You probably knocked out your number 1s.
I did.
Knew it.
I got it back. I got it back.
All right, go.
Okay, I got two ahead of myself. Yeah, I mean, and it goes back to, it's not just the colors that the restoration benefits from. It's the cleanup job. It's more accuracy, theatrical accuracy, and the way it was meant to be seen. Okay, so my number 1, and I don't know if you have this yet or not, but
Okay.
I had to give this a number 1. It came out in December. JFK.
I don't have that one yet. I do want to get it. It's another situation where I like the movie but don't love it, so I figure I'll get it on sale.
This might change your mind. This is insane. I actually thought that my calibration of my software was wrong when I looked at this. Look at that.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
That doesn't look like the same movie.
I was thinking to myself, oh, this can't be right. And then I quickly went to 2 TVs and I played them side by side. And yeah, that's how the Blu-ray looks. And
Oh my God.
I talked to a producer friend of mine who is also friends with Robert Richardson, the DP on this, on JFK. And he said that neither him nor Oliver Stone approved of the HD transfer used for the Blu-ray, and that they were both very upset with Warner Brothers because they put like this bluish type of tint over it to almost make it look black and white.
I was going to say the bottom one is almost black and white at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane.
Wow.
I was floored when I saw this, and it's like that through the whole movie.
I can see why it's your number 1, because that's drastic.
Yeah.
That's a drastic difference.
Yeah. So this is my number. Plus, it also comes with the Blu-ray of it. It comes with the theatrical cut and the director's cut, both remastered in
Nice.
4K. And then
That's a Shout Factory, right?
Yeah, Shout Factory. And then it comes with a third disc that's just pure extras. It has.
Oh, that's amazing. I like that there's that much.
It has a new interview from the editor, a new interview from the producer, a new interview with Oliver Stone, and then it has archival. It has like 6 different new interviews, and they're all about 20 minutes long. And then it has archival features as well that was on the Blu-ray. So
Nice.
This is worth the money. I mean, 100%. I think it's.
That's a nice box too.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't feel like it's going to crumble in your hands when you hold it. It's nice and sturdy. Rigid box set.
Shout Factory isn't the best with that, but so that's kind of nice that they went the extra mile for that set.
Yeah, you can shine this off the top of your dome.
Perfect. That's extra. That's extra points for me.
Yeah.
All right, now we could talk about my number 1 and what is the number 1. It is the correct answer, and it is the second sight release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
And this was your number 3, correct?
Yes, number 3.
So there were 2 releases of this movie, and JT and I got into an argument about this because he was telling me that he felt the Dark Sky Films, which is the domestic release, was more color accurate. And I beg to differ 100,000%. Coming from someone who's seen the film on a film, this one is the color accurate one.
Yeah, I've gone into a little bit with JT as well. And my first question was, well, how do you know? Have you ever seen the actual original 16 millimeter print of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, here we go with some stills. Now, I did a big comparison between the Second Sight and the Dark Skies release.
Mm-hmm. I remember it was a good coverage. But the thing I want to say about JT's feeling about it was that the Second Sight one was he considered it to be too clean, compared to what he expects from the movie. And I'm like, just because the movie was on 16, it was shot on 16 and blown to 35, doesn't mean it was dirty. Doesn't mean it was rough. Obviously, again, this is another situation where it was cheaper. But still, if the movie is looking rough, I want it to look rough the way the film looks, not because it wasn't properly color graded. And the Dark Sky release is good, but it's not great. It's not as great. It's not as perfect as this one is. Yeah. And I don't know if you have these, but my biggest thing is the exteriors in the Dark Sky release. The sky is blown. Yeah. You can't see the clouds in the sky, and that's not the way the movie looks.
Yeah, you can't see the separation between the sky and the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Zedzilla, who also knows JT, says, "Oh dear Lord, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've listened to JT blab on and on and on about this freaking movie."
Yeah. Now, I think JT's favorite is actually the second one, which is also a good 4K release, but it was a 2022 release.
Yeah. Let me show just a couple shots here.
Yeah, let's see them.
So, I mean, it's not too far off, but you can definitely see the dark sky is a little bit blown out through the window there.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big one between the shirts. It's more green.
It's radically different. Yeah.
And that's just, of course, people have to understand too, these are just still frames. When you actually see movement, it's going to look different. And then see, I mean,
look at the reds.
The blood, it draws out the blood a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And then this, now this is one where I thought the Dark Sky looked a little bit better with the whites on the house than the Second Sight, but then you look at like the yellow apron of Leatherface, and that looks better on Second Sight.
Yeah, see, sometimes I think in this situation you have to prioritize the most important part of the scene when you're dealing with the rough source material, and I think that's what happened. Is they wanted to make sure Leatherface, like the two actors, looked correct, and they may have had to sacrifice some of that white on the side of the house to do that.
But you can also see the more detail on the Second Sight with the siding of the house. You can see the creases more.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's a phenomenal release. And they don't have this box set anymore, but they do. I believe they have it on standard release.
Now, this is a situation, though, where you really lose something getting the standard release. As far as supplements, the movie's the same, obviously, and you do get extras. You do get good extras. But if you had gotten this box set, you get all this.
Yep.
There's so much extra stuff in this. And this book, this is, again, a school book. This is a hardback school book. You can read this and not destroy it. And it's huge. There's so much in here.
When I first got this, I was thinking, what in the world? How am I going to get through all this? But I think it's about 200 pages. And I love that it's a hardbound book.
And then even on top of that, there's still art cards in here with images. I think I have a very hot take about these. I think these are usually a waste. What I think they should do with these, this is just screen caps basically from the movie. I would love to see these. I would love to see them instead be the international posters. That's what I've always asked for. Instead of doing this kind of thing, give me international posters so I can see how it was marketed in other countries. I would rather see that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I love international posters.
This is how we started 2023. So for me, this was the gold standard release, and everything that came out the rest of the year got compared to this, and nothing to me matched it. Now, as far as restoration, there might be some stuff that is better restoration-wise, but it didn't compare in other ways. Because for me, it's a balance of, did you give me the penultimate version of that movie? Yeah. And I don't think there's another release that did that like this year. It's
I
just
agree.
stunning.
I
It's
agree.
stunning.
I agree. And yeah, I think this is out of print now, right? The
It is out
box
of
set?
print. It is out of
Yeah.
print. Yeah. So sadly, all you can get is just the 4K and an Amory disc, and you get the extras that are on that first 4K disc, but you lose everything else.
And a lot of the
So
extras on this are exclusive to the second sight release. The Dark Sky
yeah,
doesn't have
the
it.
Dark Sky doesn't have it. Yeah. It's just the Dark Sky is a nice solid release, but if I were to compare the Dark Sky Steelbook to the second sight release, the second sight is still superior.
Yeah.
Because you get a better version of the movie. You get the film accurate version of the movie, and I think at that point the extras are the same though on the two. I believe so.
I think there's a few extra like interviews that are extra on the exclusive for the second sight, but overall it's the same.
It's pretty
And
close. Yeah.
In my review, I just said that it really comes down to personal preference of what you prefer, how you prefer it to look.
And I know you said that, and that actually tweaked me a little bit because I'm like, no, one is right and one is not. That is the answer. One looks like the film, one doesn't. That's the answer.
And second sight definitely looks like the film. I know.
It does. I know too. I've seen the film print a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, not everybody has access to that, and I know that. I'm just really lucky to have probably a top 10 art house theater in the country in my city. So I'm lucky that way.
Yeah. Let's go over some of the comments here.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Where are we going? Let's start with I can't see his name. Is it Kiwi Alyssa? Is that Alyssa?
That's Kiwi. Kiwi.
I can just call you Kiwi, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I like Patrick Swayze way better in Ghost. That's a good movie.
Okay. So I can kind of see that a little bit. I think Patrick Swayze might have been a better actor in Ghost. I just prefer this movie better.
Well, he was going for his Academy Award, which he didn't get.
Exactly. Which he didn't get.
But that is coming on 4K. I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And
it was part of the Paramount. It was part of the Paramount Presents line early on.
Yeah, that and Elizabethtown are both coming on 4K. They're part of the Presents line.
Okay.
Kiwi also says, "Oh gosh, LOL. You know how I feel about that movie, Steven."
Yeah, she follows my rating movies streams on TikTok, and someone always asks me about TCM, and I always give it a 4 out of 5, and she hates it. She hates the movie. Yeah,
I give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I honestly, if I watch it again, I probably could give it a 4.5 out of 5. There's very little wrong with TCM.
Yeah, it's a perfect movie as far as I'm concerned, especially a horror movie. Let's see. Zedzilla says, "Oh dear Lord." Oh wait, we already read that one.
Yeah.
So forget about that one. Avocado. The grabbing scene. Oh my goodness. Oh, of TCM.
Grabbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he grabs.
And then slams the door. Yeah. It's iconic.
Yeah. And
I feel bad for anybody who's never gotten to see that movie in the theater, because if you're in a theater with it cranked up loud and that door slams, it'll jolt you out of your seat.
Well, that's one thing that I really appreciated. A lot of times, because it was, I believe mono was the original audio track. And they've since done 5.1, 7.1, and now with this 4K, they've done an Atmos. And it sounds insane. I cannot believe how great this Dolby Atmos sounds. I mean, you can hear...
You never would have expected a Dolby Atmos of a movie that was mono to be so good.
Yeah, you can hear in the rear channels people running around upstairs in the rear behind you. I mean, it's insane.
It is. It's so good.
Let's see here. Avocado says, Zed, hey, sweetie, nice to meet you.
Oh, you got to scroll through that a little bit. There's some inner personal conversation, which is amazing. I love that. I love when people awesome. People in the chat talk among each other.
Let's see here. Kiwi, I just don't like Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's just too cheesy for me. Some cheesy movies are good, but unfortunately TCM, I think... You think the remakes are better? I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Without Texas Chainsaw... you probably heard this before. Without movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we wouldn't have what we have today with horror movies. There wouldn't be, like with Psycho, there wouldn't be movies that came after that. I mean, it always starts somewhere. And I don't know. I first saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I was a teenager. I think I was like 13 or 14. And even back then, I never really thought it was cheesy. I always thought it was great.
Yeah, same. Now, my first time seeing it obviously was as a kid on TV, and then always on TV until college, and it just so happened the first time they showed it at the theater, my art house theater, was when I was in school.
Ooh,
Yeah, they were
wow.
they have shown it a bunch of times throughout my lifetime as a midnight movie, as a repertory screening as a midnight movie, and it's always I always go. I love it so much.
And that's awesome. The first time you actually really saw the R-rated version was in a theatrical experience.
In the theater, yeah.
That is, oh man, I wish I wish I could have experienced that. Zed says Zed has never and will never watch TCM just to spite JTE or JT for a lifetime.
I feel sad for you because you're missing out on an iconic film, but I also respect you for your stubbornness. I'm here for that.
Right.
I'm here for that.
Do you see anything that I have missed in the chat?
There was one in here from Tidbit Kid referencing the fact that they're doing a Roadhouse remake, which is true, and the trailer is out, and it looks real bad to me. I like Jake Gyllenhaal, but I think he was miscast, and the movie does not look good.
Yeah, I mean, it comes out in March, and it's not even in theaters. So what does that tell you? It's going straight to Amazon Prime streaming. I think the only reason they cast Jake Gyllenhaal is to have some star power in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it looks very good either.
I feel like one of the things that makes Roadhouse great is its lo-fi kind of cheesy. Now this is a movie that is cheesy, but it's charm. It has a charm to it because of that. And it looks like they've taken all that out and tried to do something more like a serious action thing. And I just don't think that's going to work. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've never seen Roadhouse before and you've just heard, because there's times where people just hear about a movie and think I'm never going to watch it because it's just cheesy, because it's in the zeitgeist as being a cheesy, B movie. So they never see it, and then if they see this remake first, hopefully they'll go back and see the original.
That's what you would hope.
That's one reason why I don't mind remakes, is because a lot of times it encourages people to go back and see the original.
There's a comment in there from Avocado Antics. You should pull that up. The newest one.
Yeah, I got it. I just saw the original TCM for the first time last year, and I thought it was excellent. Not very violent and some truly disturbing scenes. And that's one thing that Toby Hooper kind of pride himself on, was not showing a lot of gore in it. And it's one of those, it's kind of like Seven, where you never see the actual killing, but you think you've seen the killing. You just see the aftermath. The more you don't see, the better.
The stuff that makes that movie work is the production design. Like the house, inside the house, and when you look at the people, everything feels gross. It literally feels real, because it is. They use real animal carcasses and stuff. And when you see all that stuff and you're experiencing it, when something violent kind of does happen, you feel like you're experiencing that too, even though you never really saw it, which is amazing. The two movies from horror movies from the 70s that do that so well for me is the original TCM and the original Halloween.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the original Halloween, it's a violent slasher. There's hardly any violence in the movie.
Yeah.
It's all atmosphere that makes it work so well.
That's funny, because I went to go visit my cousin in Oregon a couple years ago, and he's never seen Halloween. He's in his 20s, and he always thought it was going to be. He was prepared. He was getting ready for a violent slasher movie, and he was like, "This is kind of boring. There's no violence in this." And
how dare you? How dare you?
That's what I said. But he liked it, but he was expecting more from it than what there was.
Yeah.
Kiwi says, "I think Sleepaway Camp is way better than Texas Chainsaw."
Boot.
I like
Sleepaway Camp is fun. I like it too, but
okay. Well,
I do like it too, but it's
I wouldn't say that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is more cheesy than Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp is
pure
really cheesy. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love it. That's why I love it. Yeah,
that's just pure cheese. Sleepaway Camp. Wait, just getting a 4K, by the way, just to let you guys know.
It is, yeah, and that's why I'm so glad I didn't jump in and spend a lot of money trying to get those out of print movies, because they're coming out in 4K now.
Well, that's the thing, is like all these Criterion and Shout Factory and all these that have released Blu-rays that were sourced from 4K restoration, they're going back and releasing them on UHD now. So they're coming back.
So I hope they do the entire run so we get a box set.
That'd be nice. Zedzilla says, it's crazy to Zed that neither of you brought out Roland Emmerich's 1998 American masterpiece Godzilla starring Matthew Broderick and Hank Azaria on 4K for the best 4K of 2023. It's funny because me and Zed were talking and he kept saying starring Matthew Broderick, and I would repeat what he said but saying starring the great Hank Azaria. So now he adds Hank Azaria to it.
I love it. I don't own that movie because it's not good.
I don't like that. I can't.
Yeah, it's not for me.
I've let Zed and the others know I do not like that movie. That's
No.
not a good movie. Avocado
not for me.
says, the dinner scene where they kept panning over the woman when she was screaming and zooming into her face was scary. She looked generally terrified. And yeah, I mean, that goes back to how nothing's really shown, but it's so disturbing at the same time.
And part of the reason that works is if you read Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface, if you read his book called Chainsaw Confidential, you get a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And that scene is fascinating because they shot it so many times over and over and over again. And he said it was like 115 degrees inside that house because they had tinted the whole house to control the light. And it was in Texas. Everybody was pissed off and miserable. And she wasn't giving the scream or something that Tobe Hooper wanted. So there's a scene in there where she gets cut. It's not a practical effect. He cut her in the movie and she screams, and that's the take that's in the movie. It is a violent movie. And at the end, when he's swinging and screaming and swinging that chainsaw, he says, I was so mad at Tobe Hooper that I was trying to hit him with the chainsaw. And that's why it's so close to the camera. So that's why that movie works, because it's all real stuff. It's like real feelings coming out on screen.
Classic filmmaking at its best.
Iconic independent filmmaking. That's what that is.
Yep.
Really fun.
Let's see here. A couple more. Kiwi says, what if I told you Troll 2 is way better? I don't.
You would be wrong about that.
I don't think you're welcome back on this channel, and I'll see you when I see you, I guess.
Troll 2 is something that is meant for the theater. You see that in the theater with a bunch of people on a custom cocktail. It's not for like watching.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy a 4K release of that.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, Avocado says, "Oh my God, that was real." Yeah.
Yeah.
You should watch.
And
you should. I was going to say that you should check out some of the documentaries on that movie and read some of the books on it. I mean, it's insane what they did to make that movie, what they went through.
And see, this is what's so interesting is one of the scenes that Tobe Hooper meant to be funny in the movie. And now that you know it and you're desensitized, I'm desensitized to it a little bit because I've seen the sequence around it so much, is when Grandpa is trying to hit her with a hammer.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
But the things that led up to it were so visceral and so real. No one caught the humor in that scene. But now I kind of laugh at it.
Yeah.
I do laugh at it.
Yeah. And then Tobe Hooper went way the other way with Texas Chainsaw 2, where he went way over the top with his comedy and
I love it. I love it.
It's great. Zed, I'm not going to read your comment.
Well, what did he say? There was nothing funny about the Grandpa.
Trolls. You must be referencing the incomparable acting talents of Hank Azaria in the Smurfs. Actually, no, he was talking about Troll 2, not Trolls.
Yeah.
There's an actual movie called Troll 2. That had nothing to do with the original Troll.
It's true. And it's a very fun movie if you see it in the theater with a crowd. You don't piss on hospitality.
Kind of like The Room, where it's much better.
Yeah, it's exactly like The Room. Yeah.
Yeah. Kiwi says, I told you I have very unpopular opinions, and that's okay. Is it okay, though? I mean... Yeah,
it's all right. It's all right. Everybody's got to love what they love. You know.
I'm just kidding with you. Like what you like. It doesn't affect me in any way.
Exactly.
Let's see here.
Well, this was another iconic year for us.
Yeah, Avocado says there was nothing funny about the grandpa. He was terrifying. Well, not the grandpa, but that scene where he was trying to hit her with a hammer.
He just keeps dropping the hammer. Yeah. And if you're like someone who likes gallows humor like me, it's kind of always been a little bit funny.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it is, but I see why people don't get it, and because there's so much terribleness around it. You're not set up to laugh, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And going back to Showgirls, that's one reason where it was like, okay, I was starting to get the what do you call it? I forgot the word, but spoofing of what he was trying to satire, what he was trying to do. But then it took that really dark turn near the end where the lady goes up to the room. And then it was like, you had that satire, and then it turns such a huge left turn, and it was really dark. And I was just like, oh, okay. But
you could watch that movie back to back with Bound, though, and get plenty of the lovely Gina Gershon.
Bound is excellent.
Bound is amazing.
Bound, watch Bound, and I hope that gets a 4K.
I hope so too. I keep waiting because it's Wachowski, right?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we get that?
I think it's tied up in producer licensing rights, or
is it like a Miramax thing or something like that?
Yeah. Let's do one more comment from Kiwi, and then we're gonna go. The original Exorcist is way better than TCM. If you disagree, overthink your decision, because I know on this one.
so that's a pretty, because the original Exorcist is near perfect. Also, I love the original Exorcist. That's a tough one. Yeah. I got to lean into TCM though. I think TCM is a much more watchable movie. The original Exorcist is a slow burn, and if you're not in the mood for a slow burn, you're not going to like it.
Well, and I also think, to me personally, I like the more independent style that TCM has. I mean, Exorcist still feels like a studio horror movie.
Oh, for sure. It's got that studio thing, just like kind of like The Omen does.
Yeah.
It's got definitely has a budget.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It had no budget, 16 millimeter. It was raw. There's
a handful of 16 mil films that were blown to 35 and shown that I just like. That one, Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave. I love that whole thing, that whole vibe with those movies.
Was Hills Have Eyes? Was that 16?
I suspect it wasn't, because that came along after he kind of had made a name for himself. So I feel like that was probably 35.
Yeah. All right. And Avocado leaves us off with Bound is Wild. And you got that right.
Yeah.
Bound is very wild.
Wild.
Guys, well, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks so much for everyone for joining us and sticking around through a 2-hour stream. We had a lot of fun. Definitely want to do this again next year, but I still want to do more live streams with you this year.
I was going to say, I hope it's not a year before we do another stream.
Yeah. So I you're one of the few people I can really dig deep into the stuff about filmmaking and all the physical media and all that stuff. And so it's great. Avocado says,
let me know.
I love Spit on Your Grave. Yeah, Spit on Your Grave is excellent.
What? Avocado likes that. Whoa.
And
she twisted.
A beautiful 4K restoration, by the way.
But you better not be talking about the one from the 2000s. That one's okay. We're talking about the one from the 70s. That's yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next time. If you're not following Steven, that's your name, right? Steven.
That is me.
I've been saying here too long. Tell the fine folks out there where they can find you.
So you can find me at OTS Movies on most major platforms. I will say I post daily on TikTok at OTS Movies. I post on Instagram a little bit as OTS Movies also, but most of that's reposts from TikTok. So choose as you will the platform you would like to use. Also, I'm doing a Pushing 150 project where I'm trying to see 150 films in theater this year. You can keep up with that on the TikTok, but also Letterboxd, because I will do star ratings for everything I see in the theater this year. So OTS Movies on Letterboxd too.
Nice. So how are you doing on the 150?
I'm actually right on target right now. You have to average 12 movies a month to do it. And I did 12 movies in January, and that was rough because it was a bunch of bad movies, because January is rough. And I'm on target. I'm halfway through. I've got 6 movies in on February, so I should be good. I should be good so far.
I'm assuming you have some kind of membership with your theater.
I do. I have the Regal Unlimited. Yeah, I have the Regal Unlimited for the major movies, and then my art house theater has a membership that I also carry that gives you heavily discounted tickets. So
nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to see Dune when it's playing at the Dolby Theater at the end of the month, because I never did catch it in the theater because of the pandemic. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, guys. Well, we will catch you later. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Keep physical media alive.
Keep it.